Hey, I'll start with Cameron, and a point I wanted to make to all of you is that I appreciate all the files you've turned in, and that's good. But what you're missing is your texture images, and let me go into the Maya file and show you precisely what I mean. Um, if I go into the Hypershade and I click on textures here, these are the file nodes associated with the file. Um, And if I double click on these, we'll open the attribute editor, and here they are. So, you're keeping them on the desktop in a folder called My Class, which is actually not good. You should be working inside of a Maya project folder, and it should be in your source images directory, ideally. But either way, and here's one called Side Pose. Those might be your images for modeling. There's something called DCU. So, okay, so really, I'm guessing it might even just be, well, that's a concept though. So, I'm not actually here, I can tell you which one it is. If it's this, I can, it's kind of being funny on me about showing that selected, but let's go back to materials and graph material on selected object, and then it's this DCU one. So, I would need that DCU file to see the textures on her in the Maya file. So any textures you have, please include those when you submit so that I can see them. Otherwise, I'm relying only on the image here, which is not, oh yeah, there's probably some other one that's part of that, which isn't necessarily that bad, but I'd really like to get in there to look at the file itself, the Maya file with the proper textures on it. So we can full screen this, not much bigger. But yeah, it looks like it sort of reminds me of that kind of modern army camouflage. I'm guessing that's what you're going for. Um, you might want to get in there a sense of sort of seams, or if she's, you know, how is this a fabric that's stretched over her? Is this what she's made out of because she's an android? If so, are there sort of seams or kind of bolts or screws or something that looks like some construction history of how she's built? So that's something you could think about adding in there. But otherwise, it looks like you got you got the texturing all working, so that's good. Doesn't want to get out of that mode. Okay. And yeah. So same issue with this guy as far as seeing the textures, and in this case I'm limited to just this very small thumbnail image associated with the Maya file. But let's go ahead and open up the Maya file anyway. So yeah, I can see you've come a long way with the model, and that's looking very good. Some of the areas are looking a little flat, like I might try to round out the shoulder here on the top of the arm a little bit. Like you could grab, say, that edge. Actually, let's see if symmetry is working on this. Seems to be. Yes. I'm just control selecting to get rid of any other selection of that. Make sure it didn't go all the way around the boundary. Okay. And then can just do B for smooth selection. Hold down B, click and drag, get a much smaller selection. Something like that. Maybe a little bit bigger. Pull it up a little bit. It's not the most rounded. Might want to do, there's actually a thing in the soft selection, if I remember correctly, where um, maybe it's in where you can change the fall off here. Got like a slightly different effect there. Yeah, it's a little bit more rounded. Um, to play with that. Anyways, or you can just use one of the sculpting tools. Just the point is that can be a little bit more rounded. Yeah, but like I said, I can't do much to look at the textures. If we go into the hypershade, look at textures, I'll need these guys to look at it. And it looks like you are working inside of a Maya project, yes. But and fine point, you have it in the images folder. Images folder is for images that you're rendering out of Maya. That's the default place when you hit render, like a batch render, that it will put the images. Whereas source images is where you want to put the images for a texture. Oh, I keep going past it. Images, yeah, so source images is the correct folder for that stuff. So yeah, I would need all those files to see the textures on it. I mean, but from what I can see in here, it looks like you've got some of the basics working. So, but again, I can't do a thorough critique without seeing this. Next up is Nadia. Let's take a look at the image here. It's a pretty good size. It's looking like more like a signed color than a texture, although I see a little bit of texture in the hair. Let's take a look at the My file. So I see that you've included some of the source textures you used, I'm guessing for your Mudbox brushes, but what I would need is, for example, this body YZ TIFF file here, which we see is in your source image directory, which is good. Yeah, without that, I can't see the texture on the characters, so we're left to judge it from this. And yeah, it's hard to see much. I think you might want to paint something on the tie. I don't know if you've had a chance to texture that or not. And then again, the pants, you could paint in some pockets and kind of a fold for the zipper and that kind of stuff. Maybe paint on a belt, get a little more texture going and variation on the face and that kind of stuff. It looks like you have got some texture in the hair. Looks like you have done something with the shoes, but maybe some kind of socks would be helpful. So yeah, and it'd be great to see it with the image files. Crystal, same issue as I've said with all the others of missing the texture images. But yeah, it looks like you've got a real texture going on that, some kind of floral pattern and some kind of jeans fabric and the socks thing. So it looks like you've got the basic workflow working. I can see the texture on the hair, maybe some belt loops and a belt or something, or something representing the folds for the zipper. A couple pockets could kind of help that out a little bit. Could be some little more variation on the face. It's looking kind of a solid color, so you might paint that up a little bit. Get a little color on the lips, maybe, that kind of thing. But yeah, it looks like you've got everything functioning. It said that you had some problems with Mudbox. Yeah, let us know what you ran into. And by the way, with this, the Mudbox files, it's the same story as with Maya's, that you need those source textures because they're held in a separate file. Let's take a look at the image here. Oh yeah, you've got a nice fabric texture on there. That worked out well. Be good if you could get that line a little sharper. You might take a look at that in Photoshop. See if you can clean up that line in Photoshop. If not, you can go back into Mudbox, but it's okay. Looks like you have painted a little bit of variation in the face. I can see the lips and the eyebrows on there. That's looking good. Yeah, maybe some more things going on with the legs. It looks sort of like a solid color from here. Maybe, different shoes or socks, that kind of thing. But overall, it looks like a pretty well textured character. This is Todd's, looking really good. In Todd's case, it did include a lot of the images in this zip file, but we're missing a couple key ones. You can see, for example, you can see some of the gun detail, and that's looking really sharp. That looks really nice. Very cool. Um, and some on this rocket, and you've got your logo there as well, and that's nice looking. I don't know why that keeps doing that. Oh, I like this one. That's great. You got even some, I'm guessing that's sort of um, some damage at the bottom, or I don't know why it keeps doing that, but it probably won't come out in the render, for example, if we hit render. Yeah, it looks fine. So yeah, so if I go to this guy and select his surface and go into the hypershade, which I've done, and hit the graph material on selected objects, these are just some, like, looks like animation curves you have in there for some reason. But if I look at the texture images associated with it, this SRX texture and this yada 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 polysurface shape Photoshop file, those are not included in the zip directory we have here, so I would need those to see the rest of this detail. But the image is quite good, so oh, I'm sorry, yeah, that's the thumbnail. I can't enlarge that. So but from here, yeah, it's looking really sharp. I like the decals on him, and color scheme. Looks like you've done some really good work. So anyways, it'd be great to get those textures to see it in my. Next is Steven. He's got a whole turntable video, which is great. Those zippers on there and stuff, that's nice. Maybe do the same thing on the pants. When I unzipped Steven's zip file, I got this folder, and inside it says Maya, and then it's got a scenes folder and source images folder, which is great because all the images are in the source images folder, which is where they should be. The only catch is that when I open this in Maya, for example, let's look at this one. You can see they're still not linked, even though they're in the source images folder. And the thing is see how it has the full path of where the files are. If you set your project before you save and all that, it should get rid of the everything. It's not wanting to do that. Let's see. Before the source images, and then the links work better. What was this one? Coat N. Oh, some Maya source images. Oh, okay. And then it was smart enough to relink the rest of them when I did that, which is fabulous. So anyways, but look how much shorter this path is. So if you set your project before, it should fix those. So that, and then if you move the whole folder around, all the links still work automatically. But yeah, this is great. I think I might try to see if you could get a little bit more of a feeling of fabric on the coat. It's a very bright, solid yellow. Maybe taking some of the saturation down a bit, and just painting some variation. Maybe there's areas where it got a little dirty. Maybe some little seams to get a sense of the construction history. I like the cute raccoon sort of mittens. That's nice. Texture on here, is that a bump map doing that? Because it looks a bit extreme, maybe. So yeah, I can see this is a bump map, and you might want to just, yeah, there we go. I'm just toning that down a little bit because it's often less is more with bump maps. So um, even that, you might go down from there. I'm really liking the way the variation on the face is painted with this sort of kind of freckles and details on the skin. That's looking really good. I have a little pink in the eye. I think the hair could maybe use more attention, maybe a bit more hair-like the sock monkey hat. That's good. Yeah, here's another of just take it down a notch on the bump because I just think that's way too much. It looks really funny. And it doesn't really look like, if you really wanted that to look like the sort of pom-pom thing on the hat, you'd have to do some sort of fur thing, which we're not going to do for this class. But yeah, I mean, this is really good. There's clearly a lot of time went into painting the textures and all that. And you even got that elastic at the bottom there. That's a really nice touch. Yeah, look at the, is that just a bump map or is that actually modeled in? That's actually modeled in. Okay, yeah, just great work, really good. Yeah, but tone down those bumps and then maybe a little bit more on the yellow of the jacket to kind of give it some variety. You could do some more on the pants too, maybe paint in some pockets and the kind of fold for the zipper, or depending on what, maybe these are, more kind of like a vinyl sort of elastic snow pants. But either way, just some sort of seams or construction history of some kind, maybe pockets, those kinds of things. The zippers really help on the coat as well. Great work. On this one again, I need those texture source images, and yeah, the model's looking really great. So that's not an issue, but I can't really see the textures without that. These images are not the right ones. These are, I'm guessing, what you use to help you paint the textures in my box, but I need the actual, in this case, it's just called textures.tiff, and it's sitting in your under application support Autodesk Modbacks 2015. You might want to copy that over to your source images directory in Maya. But yeah, model looking great, and let's take a look from the image you submitted. Yeah, I can see that there's some painted textures on here. You can see some variation and stuff. Again, not the best way to look at it, but yeah, from what I think the hair might need some more detail going on. Again, it's a bit hard to tell from here. Some good variation in the face going on. Like I've said with many others, there's sort of the construction history thing on the clothes. You might want to try to, get a sense of pockets, maybe belt hoops, those kinds of things. Other than that, looking really good. Pierre has included at least most of his texture images. I feel like I might be missing eyes. Yeah, this one's called Channel Checker Test Diffuse, which I don't seem to have a Channel Checker Test Specular, so I don't have those. But yeah, I mean, you've clearly painted some stuff, but I think that you're gonna want, I would think, more of like a fur texture painted on there, rather than just these colors, which don't. I feel like there needs to be more detail there. And like I've been saying with so many others, sort of a little bit more of the construction history of the pants, like the seam along the side, maybe the fold here for the zipper and button are, those kinds of things. So I do like the painted variation of the colors around the mouth and the toes, but I think that if that were done with a fur texture, that would be better. The pink in the ear is good as well, and on the nose. So clearly you're getting the painting working, which is good, but rather than just using a color, using a texture like a fur would improve this a lot. Next up is Byron. Got his texture in there. That's great. Yeah, I think the kind of the basics is looking all right. I think that um, just maybe some more detail. I'm not sure what that strange stripe is there. It kind of looks like it could be a UV issue more than anything. Um, Oops. Go back to this. Let's just select some UVs around here. See where those show up in the UV texture editor. So I think what you're running into is it does seem to be over that seam that's happening. So maybe it's somehow that this area is a different color from that area. Um, was why you're getting that, I'm guessing. Just to make sure, let's look at some that are exactly in that middle area. Yeah, I mean, it does seem like the bottom seam would be there. Anyways, yeah, that's something to fix up. And yeah, you've got the apron going. I think it's, basically looks good. I think you could paint a lot more kind of variation and detail on these hands that looks like just a solid color, and we could have some texture there. And I think that's true for a number of areas. Like this shirt seems pretty much a solid color, but you do have some variation and some kind of painterly qualities, which is good. I did send you a tutorial on how you could do different facial shapes that you can animate that texture back up a couple modules ago, so you might want to take a look at that. And it sounds like you're doing some of this separately, but yeah, you'll want to get that painted the same way you have this stuff painted. So, but yeah, overall looks like you got the workflow going, and there's some nice detail painted already. So with a couple fixes and a little more detail, this will look nice.